Today, we are diving deep into a creature that is so tiny it's practically invisible, but can cause a huge amount of trouble, sometimes right in your own home. It's a bit of a phantom menace, and you might not even know it's there until the itching starts. We are talking about the tropical rat mite, Orithonyssus bacoti.
So let's set the scene. It all starts with a medical mystery. You've got this rash, and it is intensely itchy. It just won't quit. You go to a doctor, maybe even a specialist, but they're stumped. Meanwhile, you're left feeling frustrated and, still itching like crazy. So what on earth is going on?
Well, the condition has a name, rat mite dermatitis. The key signs are what doctors call pruritic erythematosus papules. But what does that actually mean? Simply put, it's a red, bumpy rash that is just unbelievably itchy and persistent. The symptoms themselves are pretty obvious, but the thing causing them, almost impossible to see.
All right, to crack this case, we have to start thinking like detectives. And the number one rule in this investigation, the problem isn't just you. The real clues, they're not on your skin, they're in your environment. It's time to look beyond the rash and start hunting for the source. And you know what? Our investigation immediately points us to some very common and often completely unseen housemates. The primary hosts for our culprit are the Norway rat and the roof rat. These are the rodents that absolutely thrive in our cities and towns, living secretly in our walls, our attics, and our basements.
Now, this is where the story takes a really interesting turn. The whole reason for the attack is pure desperation. See, when the rats are gone, let's say you've had a successful pest control visit. Their parasites get left behind, and they are starving. They have to abandon their sinking ship, so to speak, and they go on the hunt for their next blood meal. And unfortunately, that's you.
So, with our primary suspects identified and a clear motive established, it is time to unmask our nearly invisible attacker. We're about to move from the world of rodents into the microscopic realm of arachnids.
So let's meet our culprit, Orithonyssus bacoti. It's a hematophagous mite, which is just a fancy scientific way of saying it's a bloodsucker. Now, as a member of the kingdom Animalia, it's what we call a metazoan, basically a complex, multicellular organism, not some simple bacteria. And it belongs to the same class as spiders and ticks. And that name, bacoti, that's a nod to the entomologist Arthur William Bacote, who was a real pioneer in studying these parasites.
Now, to really understand this tiny villain, we need a quick biology lesson. An ectoparasite lives and feeds on the outside of its host. Think fleas, or our mite here. An endoparasite lives on the inside, like a tapeworm. Our mite being an ectoparasite is a huge clue when it comes to how we find it and, more importantly, how we fight it.
You hear tropical rat mite, and you probably think, okay, that's a problem for hot, faraway places, right? Well, think again. This little creature is a master stowaway. Let's follow its surprising journey to a place you might never expect to find it, the Netherlands. Okay, first things first. That name, tropical, is a total misnomer. It's misleading. This is not just a tropical mite. It's a globetrotter. Thanks to global trade and its own amazing resilience, it has set up shop in both temperate and tropical climates all over the planet, from Southeast Asia all the way to Northern Europe.
So how does it sneak into a country like the Netherlands? Well, it has three main superhighways. First, it hitches a ride on cargo ships and in containers, docking in huge ports like Rotterdam. Second, it travels with the international exotic pet trade on animals like hamsters and gerbils. And third, it can even pop up in research facilities that house colonies of rodents.
All right, we know our enemy. We know how it gets around. Now let's talk about the counterattack. How do we fight back? This is all about diagnostics and treatment.
Getting a definitive diagnosis is actually pretty tricky. Why? Because these mites are tiny, and they're often nocturnal, so they're masters of stealth. The absolute gold standard is catching one of the little guys and looking at it under a microscope. But we can also use advanced tools like PCR tests to find its DNA fingerprint in the environment, or in some cases, use tests to look for antibodies in your blood. The only way to truly win this fight is with what I call a three-pronged attack. First, you've got to treat the person and manage those awful symptoms. Second, check any pets in the house. But third, and this is absolutely the most critical step, you have to eradicate the source. If you don't get rid of the rodents, the mites will just keep on coming back. It's that simple.
What's really interesting is that the philosophy on how to treat this can actually vary by location. In the Netherlands, for example, the medical guidelines often focus on just treating the symptoms under this big, general umbrella of arthropod bites. But other international approaches are often more direct, putting a much stronger emphasis on using environmental pesticides in the home to kill off any mites that are hanging around.
When it comes to Orithonyssus bacoti, prevention is everything. And as our cities continue to grow and expand, that is more true now than ever before.
So, the best way to fight the mite is to never let its host in to begin with. This is all about rodent-proofing your home. We're talking sealing up any little cracks or holes with steel wool. It means practicing good sanitation, keeping your food and garbage sealed up so you don't attract rats in the first place. And if you're bringing a new pet rodent home, it's super smart to quarantine and screen it for any parasites first.
And all of this brings us to a final and frankly kind of a chilling thought. As our cities get bigger and denser, we're living closer and closer to rodents and all of their parasites. So is Orithonyssus bacoti more than just a little nuisance? Could it be a silent, growing public health threat that we really can't afford to ignore anymore?
Just so you know, we put all this information together using a Gemini deep search. If you really want to dive in and learn even more, we've put a full detailed list of all our sources in the linked Notebook LM document for you to check out.
And that's a wrap on today's deep dive. If you found this as fascinating as I did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more explainers just like this one. And hey, we really want to hear from you. Leave your questions, your thoughts, or maybe even your own experiences in the comments below. Thanks for watching.